Stories of the Bible. God speaks to Samuel. This is Samuel.
Hi!
Oh boy, hello Samuel. It's been a while since I've been on here to talk to your kind, so you'll likely either get off easy as I try to get back into the swing of things, or you will incur all of the religious wrath that has built up inside of me over the past 2 months. It all really depends on how ridiculous you decide to make this. It's good to be back.
Samuel was the son of Hannah.
Hey, Samuel!
And Hannah was one of the wives of Elkanah, an Ephrathite, who was the son of Jeroham, son of Elihu, son of Zuph, who was also an Ephrathite. I don't really see the significance of this information, as all it really tells us is that Samuel was, at the very least, a part of the 5th generation of his family to be born an Ephrathite, which means that he was born in a place that, as I understand it through some light research, may, according to some Christian websites, be synonymous with Bethlehem. The Bible always seems to be filled with the most useless information.
Hannah prayed for God to give her a son, and God did.
And just in case you were wondering, yes, Hannah's husband's other wife had borne many children, but Hannah was, wait for it, I bet you'll never guess, barren. So basically the same bullshit excuse for an important baby that we've already seen, with Abraham and Sarah conceiving Isaac, Isaac and Rebekah conceiving Jacob, Jacob and Rachel conceiving Joseph, and Samson's unnamed mother conceiving him. So I would tend to go out on a limb and say that if you have 5 accounts of supposedly barren women giving birth in just the first few books of the Old Testament, that probably only speaks to how ignorant and incapable of judging those things these ancient people were. Once would be a miracle, but 5 times sounds a little bit more like a discrepancy in data interpretation.
So Hannah gave Samuel back to God.
See you, Samuel! Bye, Mom!
And Samuel grew up in the temple serving under Eli, the priest.
Hi, Eli!
Oh good, I was afraid that God would want him given back in the same way he wanted Isaac given back. I guess it's better this way. Let me just read a bit more in my Bible here to make sure there isn't anything shady going on with this Eli character. Let's see, Oh no. I'm sure you would all be very interested to hear what's going on behind the scenes with Eli. He isn't taking the snot-nosed kid to train simply out of the goodness of his own heart. Oh no, he's taking Samuel in because Eli somehow managed to hardcore piss off God. It's a pretty big passage in which this is all expounded, spanning from 1 Samuel 2:27 all the way through the end of that chapter. Almost 10 verses just to contain the massive threat that Eli had incurred from God, including the death of both of Eli's sons, and a delightful section talking about how somebody will weep their eyes out and have all of their descendants die by the sword of man. Whatever happened to the good old days where the men of God were so tight with him they could rip lions in half and slaughter whole armies with a donkey bone?
As Samuel grew up, he learned how to serve God from Eli.
Okay, I get it. They weren't in the most sanitary of conditions at this time or place, but green water? Oh, these motherfuckers are all gonna die.
Samuel lived in the house of God, but he did not know God or what God's voice sounded like.
Well, I'm sure Eli could tell him what God's voice sounds like. There's certainly no way that voice isn't burned into his mind with the shit he heard it saying.
In those days, messages from God were rare.
Since fucking when? Have you seen all the crazy bullshit God's already done? If God could clearly interact with the world in a very grand way in these times, as shown, and he presumably wanted his chosen people to know him, since he's so jealous and all, why wouldn't he want to keep talking to them?
But one night after Eli had gone to bed, Samuel was sleeping in the tabernacle when suddenly God called out, "Samuel!" Samuel got up and ran to Eli and said, "Did you call me?"
Not me.
Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back to bed." So Samuel did. Then God called out again, "Samuel!" And again Samuel got up and ran to Eli asking, "Did you call me?"
Not me.
Eli said, "I didn't call you. Go back to bed." So Samuel did. God called Samuel for a 3rd time, "Samuel!" And Samuel went to Eli yet again. After 3 times, Eli realized
Samuel had schizophrenia and needed medical treatment.
that God was trying to speak to Samuel. So Eli taught Samuel to say, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening."
Okay.
Samuel went back to bed, and God came and called as before, "Samuel, Samuel!" And Samuel said, "Speak, your servant is listening." God told him many things about what would happen to Israel.
Specifically reiterating all of the horrible things that he was going to do to Eli and his family, and naturally choosing to relay all that disturbing information through a child, forcing Samuel to then be the one to tell it all to Eli again the next morning.
As Samuel grew up, God was with him, and everything God spoke through Samuel came true. Samuel was seen as a great prophet of God because he could hear the voice of God, and he listened when God spoke to him.
So what have we learned here today from this story? Well, if you just watched the video and didn't inquire any further, you learned exactly jack shit, as this story essentially does nothing at all that couldn't be better expressed in one sentence. Something like, Samuel may have been young, but he and God were tight, and they stayed that way as Samuel got older, also he might be schizophrenic. Meanwhile, if you got the story from the video and the Bible as we have today, you learned that, yet again, biblical stories are often little more than poorly written torture porn that could be useful in scaring a child into believing God, but serves no practical purpose, moral or otherwise, in either the fully explained biblical versions or the cutesy, whitewashed, sugar-coated cartoon versions. Anyway, thank you all very much for watching. I'm very excited to be back on track making videos again, and you can hopefully expect a return to a consistent upload schedule going forward, which will hopefully last all through my next semester, as I've somewhat designed it around having time to record videos. As the algorithm will certainly be against me, having not uploaded in over a month, I would greatly appreciate it if you could like the video down below and share it to Twitter and other platforms to make sure people know that I'm back and I'll be uploading again consistently. Be sure to leave a comment down below telling me what you'd like to see more of from this channel in the upcoming months, and as always, have a blessed day, fellow heathens.